1.
You're listening to the Boldcastify College Series. How you doing today? I'm Mark.
This is Robert.
CJ from the town.
Brandon.
And this is Clay. We'd like to welcome you to our new college football show, broadcasting from the Boldcastify network. This is the Boldcastify College Series, exclusively about college football.
The inaugural episode.
Yes, this is the first episode. So what's everyone's thoughts about the news and notes of college football?
Well, got a couple right here from some stuff I was reading earlier. In the news for Florida, Antonio Callaway officially reinstated.
That won't help out much.
And then Miami also had a couple dismissals.
Yeah, Mark Rich cleaning shop.
Yeah, Dwayne Grace, who was their best defensive player arguably last year. And then Muhammad, one of their ends, as well. I mean, speaking of which,
We actually have a late addition to the
late edition.
party. We have Justin, who just walked in. You know him from the football show.
By the way, Justin, we just said something earlier that might pertain to your favorite college football team.
Yeah.
But
How do you feel about Antonio Callaway being reinstated? Your best wide receiver.
It's good for football.
Yeah.
And that's just the way.
He's a good returning threat and whatnot, so we'll see.
Not
Also,
good for other things.
Sean White being named the starting quarterback for Auburn over John Franklin III and, Jeremy Johnson.
Yeah, it sounds like picking the president candidacy.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter who it is.
Some sad news for the Duke program. Thomas Sirk tearing an Achilles tendon for the third time. He'll be missing the season. A fifth-year senior out of Baker County. He's a local kid.
that's a shame to hear. He looked like he was a good prospect.
Yeah.
Third time sounds like he's done.
Yeah, it probably is, unfortunately. And that is really some sad news.
And speaking of that,
Breaking news.
got some breaking news on the NFL side of things. Unfortunately, I know this is going to be a college show, collegiate show only. But unfortunately, we do have some breaking news that Teddy Bridgewater for the Minnesota Vikings has suffered a torn ACL and a dislocated knee. Just wanted to pass that along while we're here.
So I guess Sean Hill will be the starting quarterback for Minnesota then.
Yep, that seems to be the case.
Michael Vick. That's just my input.
Sorry, Vikes.
That's a shame to hear. Shame for a young player. But I digress, and let's get back to the subjects at hand.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we had an NFL GM compare Dalvin Cook to Jamal Charles. How do you feel about that one?
I think it's a pretty fair comparison. What's your thoughts on that one, Brandon?
My thoughts is you can't make a comparison to Dalvin Cook because he's his own individual. He's a beast and he'll outdo any prior running back.
Jamal
Wow,
Charles is a pretty good comparison, though.
That's a
I can see
very
the
bold comparison.
I can see the comparison as far as speed, but
And
Dalvin
running
Cook is
style.
definitely a more powerful runner.
Yes,
than-
he's definitely more of a physical runner.
Yeah, he definitely hits the hole. His cuts are a little sharper, a little quicker.
But
But as
also-
far as speed, I can see it. Maybe the dreads.
And also, Jamal Charles, you have to remember,
We'll give him the
Jamal
dreads.
Charles has also torn his knee up 3 times.
Yeah,
Now,
it's true.
before he
So-
tore his knees up, he was pretty damn sharp with the cutting.
I mean, Dalvin's a beast. He plays through injuries. I mean, he pulled his hamstring several times. Still
And
plays the
still
same
ran
game.
for almost 1,700
He's
yards.
a
Still-
much stronger runner than Jamal Charles to me.
Yeah.
Of course, CJ might argue this point. I think Dalvin Cook would have been a good Heisman candidate, but hey,
He
you know
definitely
what?
would have been.
I think anyone would agree with that
He
one.
missed 3 games basically, and still.
Which is why he didn't make the Heisman, I believe. But
And still.
you can't come
I
back.
mean, you had a 3-loss Florida State team, which probably didn't
Right.
help.
You
And
can't
the
come
way-
back and win the nation's best running back trophy and not get to the Heisman house. It doesn't work.
He's definitely everything Leonard Fournette is and everything Leonard Fournette wants to be.
Except
There you go. You said it right there.
Leonard Fournette's a different kind of runner.
Except Leonard Fournette looks like he's 50.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Also,
Got him.
there you go.
Also, Deshaun Watson saying he does not plan to change his style of play to protect his NFL future.
If
Why
he
would you?
changes his style of play, he loses 3-4 games. So he had to be smart.
You're
smart.
successful in what you're doing. There's no
I mean,
reason to change.
you could definitely do it at the collegiate level. I mean, how it's going to translate into the NFL remains to be seen because he's got a pretty good sized frame, but his height is going to be questionable.
He's 6'2". He's fine.
Right.
You asked the
He's
most
fine.
dominant college football quarterback to not be the most dominant college football
Well, quarterback.
He's fine.
Height don't matter. I mean,
Height doesn't matter. Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson has proved that.
And he turned out to be a bust in the NFL.
Especially when Nick Saban admitted he had used trick plays to basically win a game over Clemson.
Right.
I mean,
Because of Deshaun
obvious.
Watson throwing for 405 yards on that vaunted Alabama secondary.
Oh, yeah, they said he could be easily a top 5 pick.
He's being projected as the number 1 overall pick right now
Well,
by most sources.
a lot of things change in between a whole college football season. We've seen that before.
I should say currently being projected.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I believe I did say currently. But then you have Alabama still trying to decide their daggum starting quarterback. We'll get more into that in CJ's Alabama segment.
Saban's just pretty much tricking everybody. I mean, this is just a starter for the first game. Who's the starter throughout the whole season? I think it's Jalen Hurts, but that's to be determined. We'll see.
And that's my
Jalen
point, too.
Hurts.
Why, as a coach, would you want to announce your first-string quarterback? And I get Florida State doing it because Francois hasn't played many college games.
And in fact, Sean McGuire kind of forced his hand being hurt.
Well, that as well, but, why would you want your whole team, especially with Alabama playing a top-ranked team, number 11, if I'm not mistaken, and Florida State playing
Number 11,
Number
Ole
11,
Miss,
okay.
yeah.
USC. whatever
USC's
they are.
Around
20.
20. Why would you want to announce it and have the other team prepare for that quarterback? So
Last year,
I understand. I get
I mean,
it.
at least they waited right there.
Exactly.
last year it took the third game to decide the actual starter
Yeah.
for us, and you see how
And
that
when
works out.
when y'all were getting your butts whipped by Ole Miss, and then finally decided, Coker might be a much better option than this Cooper Bateman kid that seems like he's complete trash.
Speaking of Ole Miss, what's up with the coach faking his own funeral to teach his players a lesson? How do you feel?
Oh, he sounds desperate.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Well, it's Hugh Freeze. He is
Hugh
kinda-
Freeze did this? Is this actual report?
He is
Yeah,
kind
I
of
tagged him on
eccentric.
Twitter, and he faked his own funeral, paid money for a funeral, and
He-
just to teach him the lesson.
He's a bit eccentric. Hugh Freeze does have a tendency to be a bit on the eccentric
In my thoughts, they should have went ahead and buried him
I would have arranged for a refund after the Hallmark.
because we're gonna bury him this coming Monday.
Well,
he
yeah.
married again the third game, so yeah.
There you
I
go.
can see why you would fake it there, because you know you're about to die this season.
Whoa, there you go.
Yeah, he is going to.
Bold statements from 2 diehard Florida State and Alabama fans, which I cannot disagree.
And then, of course, you had Florida's quarterback situation. Luke Del Rio being named the starter for Florida. God, they must be desperate.
Luke Del Rio is solid game manager. You look at the coach who they got down there, that's what he wants. He wants a game managing quarterback.
He
That's
got
what he has.
beat out by a guy that was incoming at Oregon State.
Yeah.
He couldn't win the job at Oregon State, who's very average. What makes you think
Well, I mean, what are your options?
Luke Del Rio, Austin Appleby, who was a grad transfer from Purdue,
Oof.
and Felipe Franks, who was a top 50 overall recruit.
But he's a
And-
freshman.
Yeah, and Kyle Trask, who was a 3-star recruit.
You gotta look at the style of football they're trying to play. They're trying
Right.
to play keep away football. They're gonna run the ball, and expect Luke Del Rio to
Yeah.
make
Yeah.
5-yard passes.
And you don't want to throw a freshman in there.
Their running backs are also kind of,
I mean, why do you want to throw a freshman in there?
well, whoever has the best arm talent, that's what you want to throw
At
in
the
there.
end of the day, they're gonna rely on their defense and running game, and they're just gonna ask Luke Del Rio to do the bare minimum. So
Exactly.
he's a smart kid, coach's kid. He understands football.
He knows just like CJ said, he's a coach's kid. He understands the offense.
And throw a bunch of picks.
He's gonna be a game
Florida
manager.
State secondary.
To be determined.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see when we get there.
Gators suck no matter what. So.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, there you go. All right.
Then, let's see, DeAndre Francois named starting quarterback for Florida State with McGuire out. I'll get more into that in the Osceola's Corner portion of the show.
Pretty sure he'd have been the starter regardless.
I imagine so, too.
I still think McGuire would have been had he been healthy to start the season.
I disagree. And a number of people disagree with that.
I think Jimmy Fisher would also disagree.
Well,
Tom Block disagrees with you.
Well, I still think it would have been McGuire would have gotten first crack. I think Francois may have taken mid-season, but
No.
If not,
my question is, why were so many people so low on him? Because he didn't do a bad job.
Well, they're just saying the determination and the
Yeah,
mannerisms.
but we don't want a
McGuire
quarterback doing a bad job won't take us to a national championship.
Right.
He was actually good.
They're saying the
he
determination.
jacked up his ankle.
The determination and the swagger that Francois brings to the table.
McGuire had determination. He played a whole game on a bad leg.
McGuire can't beat
Okay.
Sean Watson. That's the element you're missing right
He
there.
did the first time.
He can't outscore him. He can't.
Did the first time.
Dalvin Cook did the first time.
The first Clemson game they started where Carlos Williams took the touchdown at the end of the game.
Yes.
We actually had negative rushing yards that day until Carlos Williams took that touchdown in.
All right, well.
And if you think about it, man, Florida State sends 95, 98% of their quarterbacks to the NFL, and Jimbo obviously seeing that, of all people, the crappy Golson even did better than McGuire for the first part of the year. He did, or else he wouldn't have started the season. He obviously seeing some kind of potential and seeing that he was doing better than McGuire.
Here's the thing about Golson. I think the only reason he went to Florida State was because somebody promised him he would be starting. I think that whole competition thing was smoke and mirrors. I think they basically said, Golson, here's the job, it's yours, come down here. That's what I think really happened. And I won't deviate from that.
I feel like the team would rather play for Francois than McGuire.
Yes.
That's what they want. That's what they
Right
want.
here, McGuire is a pretty well-liked teammate, though.
It doesn't mean they don't like him. It just means that they'd rather play for him because they know they see a win. Jalen Ramsey even came out and agreed with Travis Rudolph that he would have rather Francois be the starter last year.
Okay.
Oh, was that it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, we'll leave that. I'll go into the depth chart a little more in depth later.
So speaking of Travis Rudolph, I just want to say this real quick in honor of Robert's son. But I don't know if you've heard. I'm sure you've seen it on Twitter already. Of course, this lady had a son who has autism. Never gets invited to birthday parties. Never gets to do a lot. Always sitting at the table by himself. Lunch, no one wants to talk to him, hang out with him. Guess she put it over Facebook, and somehow Travis Rudolph, Dalvin Cook, DeAndre Francois, another player, got wind of it, visited the school, and sat with him during lunch. And of course, took pictures.
That
with
is
him.
awesome.
That's class. That's very class.
That means a lot to me. I think that's a great thing they did because autism is really hard for everybody. So it's really great someone took the time out to do that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think that's a very good move.
Sometimes people just don't even notice it.
No.
We're all in support of autism awareness here at the Boldcastify Radio Network.
Yes, we absolutely are.
That hits close to home, and
Yes, it does, definitely.
we're very proud of our Florida State brethren there.
Absolutely.
100%.
They'll
I
continue to
think
use
that
their
just
platform to make impacts.
made me a Florida State fan. I think it kind of sealed the deal.
There you
I'm
go.
gonna have to buy a hat.
Yep.
Wow.
Well,
That's
Once the
impressive.
session's over, I'm not buying a hat.
Session's rough.
well, we got some games of the week this week.
Let's go ahead and talk about some of these predictions that they have Georgia beating North Carolina
I think that's
for
retarded
Thursday. I do too.
on many levels. Because look at Georgia, freshman. The only thing they have is Nick Chubb. Other than that,
I saw
they
Nick
might
Chubb
be.
is a good solid.
Nick
running
Chubb
back,
is a
too.
good running back, but he's also coming off a bad knee or a bad leg or whatever, broke whatever. And then Sonny Michel, who's the backup, is injured right now, day to day. So you're telling me that those two guys right now could beat a North Carolina team that I actually think is just as good as they were last year.
They bring a lot of people back from last year.
And the quarterback, Trubisky's not a complete unknown for Carolina. He played a lot in garbage time last year.
And aren't they starting Eason?
Huh?
Aren't they starting Eason?
I don't know who. I've heard rumors of him
I'm
or
pretty
Bryce
sure.
Ramsey.
I'm pretty sure
It's one of those two.
I'm pretty sure it's Eason.
Okay, well, either way,
I'm pretty
if
sure
they're
it's been
starting
confirmed they're
Eason,
starting Eason.
Easton's going to have a rude awakening against Carolina because I think Carolina's going to give them a much harder game than people think. And to tell you the truth, I wouldn't be surprised if Carolina beats them because remember, even though Georgia has Nick Chubb, North Carolina also has a top 50 NFL prospect running back, a.k.a. Elijah Hood.
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
forget about
Very
Elijah
good.
Hood.
So I can
The
put everything on the
ACC,
running
But
game?
it is going to be a
Running game
very,
versus
very
running game.
pro-Georgia crowd being in the dome.
Well, I think if they can contain Nick Chubb, their game's pretty much shot because anytime Georgia loses a running back in any game, they're shot for the rest of the year. How they made it in the top 25 this year after the losses last year, and some even games not even getting a touchdown at all, just a field goal.
The Florida game
surprises me. They're more than
very bad Florida game, and
Well,
the very
yeah,
bad
too, but there's a
Alabama
few.
game because they looked worse than dog crap against Alabama.
But do recall,
Tech, though, right?
Well,
but do recall, this is not a Mark Richt team anymore. It's
Uh,
now a Kirby Smart team.
But the one thing is, if
You're going to have a whole different system.
I'll give you the strategy right now for Carolina to win, and it's one they should have used against Baylor last year. 8 in the box.
Well, the defense
I
would
would
be,
8 in the box Georgia until they prove they could throw the football on me.
Georgia's defense would be similar because they had Jeremy Pruitt, who's both coached under Nick Saban, so that would be similar.
Yep.
Under
Their
Saban and
offense,
Jimbo Fisher.
the way they
Oh,
run
Mel
their
Tucker.
offense would be a lot different.
I think every coach was coached under Saban at one point or another.
Pretty much half the SEC.
And Jimbo Fisher as well.
Yes.
Also, you have after that LSU and Wisconsin up in Lambeau.
Wisconsin's going to get stomped by LSU.
Yeah.
Who's
Pretty
LSU
sure.
going to play at quarterback?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, well, good point.
I don't know, who did LSU play in their bowl game and barely squeaked by?
It was,
I really like it. Was it Texas Tech?
It was some no school team. It was a team that we destroyed
Oh, was it?
in the beginning of our season, I want to say.
Huh.
It was one of the cupcake teams the first 2 games. I want to say they
I don't
struggled
think
versus their bowl
Wisconsin's
game.
going to be able to score any points against
Yeah.
LSU's defense. I don't think they're ready for the speed of the SEC. It was proven last year in the
Well,
first
yeah,
game.
I hate to
But
say this.
it will be
I'm going
interesting to
LSU,
see.
But it will. I think the game will be a little closer than the experts think because Fournette. Yes, Fournette will win the game for them, and yes, LSU's defense is good. But if Wisconsin 8 in the boxes, it'll be a little bit closer than the experts think.
It'll be closer, but LSU's going to score points. Wisconsin's not going to score points.
Good
That's how I
point.
see it.
Because Wisconsin's having to replace a quarterback and
Right, they're having to replace a
pieces.
number of key pieces.
Yes.
But it'll be nice to see a college football game in Lambeau. That'll be interesting.
Here's a game that'll be a bit of a surprise: Oklahoma and Houston.
Which have
That's
Oklahoma.
gonna be-
They have Oklahoma winning this one.
That's going to be a game that I think is going to be a lot better than people think.
Yeah.
I mean,
Houston
well-
only lost 1 game last year.
And
Of course, they
Houston-
stomped us.
Yeah, well, as I said, with a quarterback playing on one leg.
Yeah.
So we have to kind of give that one a little
I think
asterisk.
the difference there comes
I don't
with
think that
defense.
really had much to do with it.
I think the defense.
But Houston's
before that.
defense, I actually think, is better than
But
Oklahoma's.
I think Baker Mayfield will pick that defense apart.
Yeah, but
I mean,
they
he
are
was
having
special.
He was
It's gonna be a
fine.
good game either way. Winner,
Samaje
loser for you.
Perine, I would say, would be the difference instead of Mayfield. It won't be Mayfield. It'll be Samaje Perine, if anything's the
I think
difference for
Mayfield's got that it
Oklahoma.
factor.
And the
But
last
they've
couple
got-
times in the show, in a big game like that, Oklahoma's really not stepped up.
But they've got Greg Ward to contain on the other side, and Greg Ward's pretty good. And
Very good.
the H-Town defense ain't bad either. I have a feeling they'll look a lot better than expected against.
Is
Baker
this your
Mayfield.
feeling since the Peach Bowl?
I have a feeling that Houston might actually upset Oklahoma. It wouldn't surprise me.
It'd be a good upset. I can see it.
They are playing in Houston.
I don't see it happening. I feel like Baker Mayfield.
Is
got
it
that it factor.
at Houston Stadium or is it at the old Reliance Stadium?
I think it's at the old Reliance Stadium. It's at Reliance Stadium.
Right,
it's
yeah.
basically
Something. It's got something another name now.
Yeah.
I think it's Energy Field.
Energy.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're playing at the Texans Stadium, which is basically a home game for Houston. So
let's take one here. Here's a Georgia Tech triple offense. They're predicting
Triple
to win
option.
over Boston College's pretty decent defense.
well, and Boston College has a new quarterback this year, Patrick Tolles from Kentucky,
Right.
transferred as a graduate to play quarterback for Boston College. I have a feeling he's going to resurrect his career this year, maybe. And if
Wow.
he does, he might get drafted because he's got good size and a good arm. It's just he got ruined a little bit at Kentucky.
So how do you feel them picking Georgia Tech to win?
Georgia Tech's
I mean,
offense is hard to.
yeah, it's that triple
is
option.
a weird offense.
I don't
It's
know.
hard
Last
to
year,
take
a lot of
any
those
team.
teams stopped it.
Well, they were also on like their second or third string guys in
Yeah.
a lot of those spots.
They had a
By the
lot
end
of
the year.
injuries.
Yeah, after the Florida State game, they had a lot
We don't
of.
discuss that game.
But I'm saying they had a lot of injuries after that game that really screwed up their
They
season.
had injuries before that.
Yeah, but after that, especially the next game.
They
or
were
two,
not a good team last year.
Yeah, they were not. But
Definitely not the bowl team they
I think
were
it was
previously.
I think it was an aberration, though. I think they're going to be a lot better this year. It was an aberration.
You're either really ready for the triple option or you're
Exactly. Very,
You only see
very
it
well
once a
said.
year.
And also, the only difference is Boston College had all year to plan for this. It's a difference if you have all year to plan for it and you only have 1 week.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
Very fair.
So
Week
here-
one college football's about as wild as week one of the NFL.
Yeah,
Both of them
pretty
are just,
much.
like insanely unpredictable.
And that's the thing. You never know what can happen. It's very fluid in the first week.
Right, and like Jimbo come out and said in his press conference, we don't have four games to prep for an actual season game. We're opening up versus a tough competitor for our first game, and some of these kids, this is their first game playing in a
In
college.
fact,
Yep.
speaking of,
That's
I'll
absolutely
speak
true.
of FSU's schedule a little bit more in a few minutes here.
Absolutely. Let's go over
Yeah.
Clemson versus Auburn.
Clemson, big.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Clemson will roll.
I agree. I think it's going to be a good game. They're also, I guess, SEC is predicting that Auburn to win their division this year. Of course, they did it last year, and we see
And
how it
also,
worked out.
it's the SEC. What in the world are they predicting Auburn to win the SEC West for? Especially with Alabama, LSU, and Ole Miss.
And Tennessee. That makes sense.
Tennessee's in the East.
Yeah.
They basically had a West schedule before, so.
What? Never mind. And then Alabama, USC.
We win that point by 10 points.
Yeah, I will say Alabama will school USC.
I think it's going to be a good matchup, though.
I'm not there. SC's
first
having to
half.
break a new quarterback and all that.
One step back on the Clemson game. Where's that one at? Is that in Auburn or is that in Clemson?
You know, honestly,
I want to say it's a neutral.
Yeah, I think
It's another neutral?
I want to say it's like.
I think most of the
Atlanta or
games, the first
something
games
like
for the top five.
Where's that
top
one
five
be neutral
competitors.
at? Because the Georgia USC game's in Atlanta.
It's somewhere that's neutral. I'm trying
That's
to.
not neutral.
I don't think it is.
Ridiculous.
It can't be neutral.
Georgia playing Atlanta, just that ain't neutral.
Oh yeah, that's not neutral, but I mean it's in the dome.
That's in Alabama, isn't it? Jordan Harris.
Okay, they're playing in Auburn.
Oh,
Clemson
okay,
at
there you go.
Auburn.
That's going to make it a little tougher. Auburn's got a pretty good fan base.
Yes.
It's
But
Playing-
they're also,
playing at the hair.
they're starting Sean White this.
Yeah.
And then Alabama, USC. Alabama's going to roll SC.
That's in Dallas, right?
Yeah.
Or Arlington.
That's in Jerry's place.
Yeah, that's pretty much
That's pretty much home for
that's
us.
pretty much home for the Tide, right?
That's at Jerry's place.
We're gonna win that. Yeah, that's not going to be.
Yeah, and then Ole Miss and Florida State
Down in the Citrus Bowl,
In the-
or Camping World Stadium.
in the Citrus Trash Can.
Which is Dalvin Cook's favorite place to play back in high school.
Florida State embarrasses Ole Miss.
You think so?
Yes.
We're predicted to win 34-24. Hopefully, it's a little better.
Well,
than
the
that, but I'll take a
only
win.
position I would
I don't
say
care. I
right
just want a
now
W.
Yep.
that Ole Miss has any advantage at all is under center. Other than that,
Quarterback.
the rest of the
They got a pretty
the
good
line,
running back or a quarterback though.
The
you can't
line-
disrespect Jack Kelly.
but the
Yeah.
line and the receivers and the defense and the back seven on defense and the running back position especially, all go Florida State.
a lot of respect for what they've been able to do down in Ole Miss.
Yes, absolutely. They've put
Recruiting out of
together.
their own state is difficult.
Yes, they have recruited immensely well in the last 4 or 5
Out
years.
of the
look at
whole
the
state
first
of
round
Mississippi.
picks.
Yeah, I mean they've had some really, really quality first round picks. I
And
mean,
this should have been first round pick.
yes,
If they weren't so dumb.
But
Yeah.
Kelly's
Oh,
gonna be a
that's
good
true.
quarterback. He's another Deshaun Watson, man. He can throw, he can pass, and he can run whenever you don't expect it.
Right. And a little fun fact for those of you who watch Netflix, Last Chance U has been announced that it's getting a second season.
that's good news.
Before-
What is that on again?
It's about the East Mississippi Community College football team. It chronicles
So community college has a football team.
East Mississippi Community College. Their starting quarterback actually this year is going to be DeAndre Johnson.
Well,
The mighty have fallen.
pretty much.
Yes. But now on to a little thing I like to call Osceola's Corner.
All right.
All right. We're gonna
Speaking of Miami, though, who are they opening up to this year?
Well, welcome to Osceola's Corner. We're going to open up with something called Meet the New Quarterback. Our new quarterback this year will be a redshirt freshman by the name of DeAndre Francois. About 6'1", 6'2", about 205. He's a freshman from the Orlando area in reality, but he went to Bradenton IMG is where he's from. He was a top 50 recruit a couple of years back. Under
Right.
Armour All-American. Had a great pass, by the way, in that game.
Yeah, he did. He definitely showed out.
Good arm. Just the only thing that questions me is he does have a propensity from the scouting report to make a couple of bonehead plays every once in a while. He is kind of a little bit of a gunslinger. But hopefully he can temper that a little bit and put some good results on the field for us. Next up, we have a little bit to do with the depth chart here. I mean, quarterback situation, we're pretty set, I'd say, now, thanks to McGuire's injury. Of course, tailback, we've always been set. Fullback, we got senior. Receivers, Rudolph's going to be one of them. But from what I saw at the Z position, apparently they're saying Bobo Wilson or Ermon Lane or George Campbell or Keith Gavin. I saw that.
So there's a lot of ors.
Yes.
That's a lot of questions.
Which basically means, I guess, whatever situation comes up is whatever guy will be in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm really looking forward to Saunders playing.
Yeah.
I haven't had a Saunders since a Benjamin.
Yeah.
Right. Saunders looks pretty beastly.
What is he, about 6'5", 6'6"?
Yes.
I'm glad that I'm a little good for Keith Gavin. He tore his ACL last year in the national, or broke a leg or something in the state championship game last year. The fact that he's back and might be playing a good bit this year as a true freshman.
Right.
Awesomeness. Also, at the X position, or slot, they have an or situation there. Kermit Whitfield or Naquan Murray. They say that Naquan Murray has had a great spring and had a great fall. And has kind of played himself into that role.
Good to hear.
Also, the line, Johnson, R, Eberle, Bell, and there was an or. Rick Leonard or Brock Rubel at the right tackle. But the thing is, from what I hear, Eberle's a game-time decision. So the starter there, if he weren't to go, would be a true freshman. We'd have Andrew Baselli snapping the ball to DeAndre Francois, freshman to freshman.
Well, I'm happy to see Baselli start. I mean, it's good to see a Baselli back on the field doing some things.
Well, the defense is pretty much dang near the same from last year.
That's good.
You got Walker, Christmas, Noddy, and Sweat on the line.
All right.
Then you got Pugh, Hoskins, and Thomas at the linebackers. Apparently Matthew Thomas has resurrected himself.
Oh, yeah, they're saying he's looking good out there.
And then corner, but the secondary is where it gets a little bit crazy. You got McFadden or Marcus Lewis at the one corner. That would be replacing Ramsey.
Mm-hmm.
Then it says at free safety, Derwin James, obviously.
Yep.
Strong safety, you got Trey Marshall or Nate Andrews. I guess that one's situational.
Both good players.
Yeah.
I know Andrews.
Star or, basically the free safety linebacker hybrid type deal.
Nate Andrews has a lot of experience.
Well, yeah, he's the, quote, money is what they call him. He'll go in on, he's the 8-in-the-box guy.
And he's a good hitter.
Yeah. Then you got Marcus Lewis or Trey Marshall or freshman Levante Taylor at the star spot.
Levante Taylor is the one that laid out that old high school boy, made him do a couple flips in the air.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was pretty good.
And
looking forward to seeing him doing that.
Yeah, and took a kickback in the Under Armour game.
Yep.
Then you have...
So he's at the star?
He's one of the ors on the star position.
Who's the other or? I missed it.
It was Marcus Lewis or Trey Marshall or Levante Taylor.
So this depth chart is very fluid. You don't even know what's going on
And
here.
the strong safety was Trey Marshall or...
Huh?
It's too early.
Yeah, I mean, this really was just very...
Yeah. And the strong safety was Trey Marshall or Nate Andrews.
Okay.
And the first corner was McFadden or Lewis. Tavares McFadden or Marcus Lewis.
Huh. We probably should say this.
Yeah. And then the other corner, obviously, Marquez White, who's considered a top 2-round draft prospect.
And he was a walk-on, was he not?
No, he was a walk-on to the basketball team.
That's right.
He was 4-star.
Yeah,
corner.
that sounds about right.
Yeah. And then, but the kicker punter, they said Ricky Aguayo or Logan Tyler.
So
Logan
Tyler's going to be doing the punting. He said Ricky Aguayo is going to be doing the kick.
It said Aguayo or Tyler on the kicker.
But in his press conference, he said Aguayo is going to be doing the field goals. Unless it's a long field goal, then he's going to put in Logan Tyler. He
So
said
there
both
you
are
go.
very accurate, but he said Logan Tyler has a
Has a
stronger
much
leg
better
to
leg.
do the farther
Yes.
kicks.
But then to go on with the schedule, we have one of the most difficult opening schedules. 5 of the first 8 teams in the top 26 for Florida State.
Wow.
Yes.
It's very impressive.
You got
By the time we had a good schedule.
You got Ole Miss at Orlando, Charleston Southern, which is kind of the cupcake game. Then you got at Louisville, at South Florida, North Carolina, at Miami, Wake, Clemson, at NC State, BC on Friday. You get Syracuse, and then you get Florida.
You had it wrong. South Florida's the cupcake in that schedule.
No.
Cupcake.
That's not that bad of a start to your season.
That's a dang near murderer's row.
Okay.
At Louisville, Louisville's a top 15 team.
And we're playing them at noon.
I believe we played
Yeah.
Tennessee in week 3.
Yeah, well, that's when we play Louisville.
Oh, Louisville.
Louisville, I think, is a better football team than Tennessee.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
really genuinely do.
I don't know about that
I
necessarily.
genuinely do.
Guys,
Louisville's defense is much better than Tennessee's.
Let's come
And-
back down to earth.
No, I'm not.
I mean, Louisville is a very good team, but
Louisville
Tennessee looks
could
like
be
they're
a
going to be pretty good
two-loss
all
team.
around.
Louisville
And you
got
know
a
what? Two
dynamic
losses they could
quarterback,
have.
but I think Tennessee's got a better overall quarterback. They got 2 very good running backs behind them.
Louisville's quarterback's also a sophomore,
That's fine.
a true sophomore, and Louisville's defense returns like 3 or 4 All-American candidates.
Don't
Okay.
sleep on Tennessee.
So-
That's because half their team comes from Florida.
Oh yeah, but
For some reason, I don't know how these
I
are.
mean, yeah,
also,
it's just they just keep shopping. They go shop at Kroger, where everyone else shops at Publix and Winn-Dixie.
an interesting tidbit though I will leave you with out of Osceola's corner. Tune into A Season with Florida State on Showtime. It starts in, I want to say next week.
Man, it starts late. But I'm looking forward to it.
It's
I just hope it doesn't cause any distractions.
I hope not either, because from what I've seen of the clips, Jimbo jumps behind.
Well,
Heavily.
we already knew this, so this isn't breaking news.
Jimbo
So,
is a really harsh guy on the practice field there.
so
But
all right.
I love it. And as we will
digress from the Osceola's
corner,
corner to
I'm going to do
CJ.
a little quick segment on Alabama. I don't have any notes or anything because I bleed crimson. So we'll
Yes,
just
sir.
discuss. First thing everybody wants to talk about, of course, is quarterback. Let's just put this out there. Saban's not going to tell you who his quarterback is. Saban's going to tell you who he might start for the first game. At the end of the day, I think it's between Jalen Hurts and Blake Barnett. Both of them are very highly rated quarterbacks. Both of them have great skills. I would rather Jalen Hurts. He's a more Deshaun Watson-like quarterback to me. And right now, the standard in college football is Deshaun Watson. I mean, he played Deshaun Watson in the practice game before the national championship game. So, but at the end of the day, I think Blake Barnett should get the start in the first game. I've been going all year saying Alabama's going to repeat, and there's a lot of legit reasons why. I feel like we're going to return the best defense in college football. We have our 2 top pass rushers coming back in Jonathan Allen, who had 12 sacks, Tim Williams, who had 10.5 sacks. We have, to me, the fastest linebackers in the game. Rashawn Evans is going to be a complete X factor who we put in the second half of that Clemson game and pretty much contain Deshaun Watson as if you can't contain him as much as he could. I think our secondary is going to be very underrated. Marlon Humphrey is definitely going to be one of the stars of college football, and he's going to be a first-round pick, 6'1" track star at cornerback. And then we got Antonio Avery, who's going to start on the opposite of him, who's also a 4-3 guy. And then we got Mika Fitzpatrick, who's going to start at corner in the base package. He's going to start in the star in the nickel package. Our safeties are dynamic. We got Eddie Jackson, who, he had 4 to 6 interceptions to 2 to the house. I mean, he's legit.
Basically, y'all's Derwin James.
You can call him that if you want. I mean, do what you got to do if you're about comparing. But Ronnie Harrison is very interesting. He's out of Tallahassee. 6'3" guy. Florida State never recruited him. We pulled him in, and he's been balling ever since. He made some very good plays. He was a freshman last year. Made some very good plays in the national championship game. So arguably, I think we bring back the best defense in college football. Our running back situation, everybody's keen on Derrick Henry's gone. Derrick Henry's gone. We got Noah Scarborough, who's from Tuscaloosa, from the town, and he's a 6'2" guy, got 4'4", 4'5" speed, big guy like Darren. But watch out for Damian Harris. He was a 5-star running back, one of the top running backs taken out of that recruiting class, and he's going to be dynamic. I think we bring back the best receiving, not the best receiver, but the best receiving core in the nation, being that you got Calvin Ridley, who's arguably the best receiver in the nation. We got...
He is pretty good.
Yeah, Darius Stewart
Pretty
made some
old.
very clutch catches last year. He's our Mr. Clutch as far as catches. He made some very clutch catches against Tennessee and also against Auburn and also against in the national championship game. We're going to have Calvin Ridley in the slot, by the way, so that's going to be dangerous.
Doesn't Ridley have a brother?
Yes, his brother. And Ridley, fun fact, he actually told his brother not to come to Alabama. He ended up going to Georgia. Why did he tell him not to go to Alabama? That's in the air. Who knows?
I'm wondering if he thought his brother might, have to sit too long, maybe.
He definitely might have to sit too long, and he have to live in the shadows of Calvin Ridley.
And maybe that's why. I will say one thing. The only teams I can see living with Alabama right now would be Clemson and Florida State. I think the only two teams that can even go anywhere.
Well, it's hard to play with family. I think you'd be more focused on trying to develop your brother and make sure that he's doing a good job, that you might focus less on yourself, where you start to diminish as you're trying to raise others.
Yeah, because, college football is not just college football. It's living as a college student and living
Yes,
in the city.
absolutely.
So,
There's a lot of semantics going into it.
You gotta live with the fact that you're Calvin Ridley's brother.
Yeah.
That's gotta...
And he's leaving an impression in the Alabama program, which is a very, very deep program. There's a lot of history.
yes.
So do you have anything else you want to say about the program?
Whoever the quarterback is going to have a safety net in O.J. Howard, who to me hasn't played like the best tight end in the nation because he hasn't had the chances. But as we all
best
see,
handfuls of tight ends.
as you see in the national championship game, he is the unicorn of college football.
He's imaginary?
How can you stop him? It's going to be very hard for teams to game plan for that.
I'll give you O.J. Howard. I like O.J. Howard.
6'6" guy. He's got 4.5 speed. He's worked on these whole 3 years on his blocking, his technique, and now he's ready to shine as a receiver.
Yeah.
I think if we can make it through our tough SEC West schedule and not fall to LSU or Tennessee, I think we make it to the SEC championship. We beat whoever's in the East because let's be honest, the SEC West is the SEC best, the SEC East is the SEC weak.
Yeah.
And I think we make it to the. Yeah, I think we make it to the playoffs. Now, I do feel like if LSU runs the table, if they don't run the table and they only lose to us, I think you see 2 teams in the SEC in the playoffs.
Kind of like how I feel about Clemson and Florida State as well.
Exactly, and I feel like you could possibly see 2 SEC, 2 ACC teams
Okay,
in the playoffs.
Wow.
That would be the top teams.
I'll tell you this, if you happen to see by some shocking display of college football 2 ACC and 2 SEC teams in the college football playoff, there would be an expansion of the college football playoff.
Yeah. It would
Very
be,
quick.
But it would be well deserved this year because
But
I
it'll
will
make
tell
history.
Yeah.
I will tell you one thing. The SEC West and the ACC Atlantic, by a long shot, are the 2 best divisions in college football. Period.
Yeah, out of the sun. Yeah.
For the whole thing, national title is going to be Florida State and Alabama, and it's going to be just as epic as it was against Clemson. I think we pull it off somehow, some way we pull it off.
Mm-hmm. I was watching ESPN today, and you were talking about the quarterback battle. They said, as I said, it would either be Cooper Bateman or Blake Barnett. That's what Saban said for the first game.
He's going to play both.
And they were going to play both.
Yeah.
Well, he's confirmed Bateman and Barnett. Bateman, of course, the person who started the Ole Miss game and turned the ball over 5 times.
Bateman's getting looks just because of loyalty of Nick Saban, even though
Because he's a
at the
senior.
top.
I will say, is he a 5th year senior? Or?
Yeah,
I believe he's a senior, yeah.
Junior. It's like his 4th year.
Okay.
4th year junior.
I think he's a senior. Yeah, I think he was
Nah,
a
he's
junior last
a
year.
junior, definitely a junior. But I don't like his arm. His arm is weak. He's a check down guy. He's the same game manager we've had all year. I think more Lane Kiffin is looking for something a lot more different and dynamic. And we got the weapons to where we can stretch the field, so we're looking for that.
That's what Lane Kiffin is. He's a quarterback guy.
Yep, definitely
Kind of
quarterback
like
era.
how we have Jimbo over at Florida State. They're both big quarterback guys.
I've never
Yes.
had an issue playing two QBs. You have two QBs that can do two different things. Put them in the position for two different.
Yeah, I
positions.
mean,
Well,
That's
you know
what-
my
it's not
thoughts.
it's
I
not a
hate to
bad
say this.
it's not a bad thing, but you definitely don't want to make a thing of it
Yeah.
because your
no,
center
you
has
want it to do at a certain time.
I
right.
never.
Your center gets
your
it's
center
gets
likes
very
yeah,
questionable
Yeah.
on the exchange. There's a
You got
lot
a
of
couple-
fluid
you got a
things and
couple
go.
guys that you feel can win the championship. You leave it to who does the players want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
You just want to make
right
sure the
now-
chemistry is right.
I think right now the players want Jalen Hurts, but I think they wouldn't be mad with
And he's a true freshman as well. Maybe they're wanting to redshirt Hurts.
We'll see.
Okay.
All right. Well, we would like to thank you for tuning in to our inaugural cast of the Boldcastify College Series. And tune in next week as we turn back and look back at the first week of college football and see if there's any upsets or see what foot fell out or anything that happened. I'm Clay, to Apocalypse.
Brandon at Surfer Dude 333.
It's CJ from the town.
Slack and cracking, Robert.
Mark at BCB Mark Piga. You've been listening to the Boldcastify College Series.